So in this letter from St. Paul, we have his pastoral guidance, this word to bear one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. And of course, what he's talking about is when anyone is detected in transgression, you who have received the Spirit should restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. And so for Paul, bearing one another's burdens means bearing with each other in forgiveness and mercy the burden that in a sense of following Jesus that others find themselves unable to carry. That in a sense we all on our journey with Jesus to the cross, we all stumble along the way. And so we are called to help pick up the cross and help pick up the burden for one another by forgiving each other when we are unable to bear the burden of the high calling to which we are called in Jesus, the call to love one another as God has loved us. And of course, we're going to fall short of that. Of course, we're not going to be able to fulfill this burden. And so but the only way but we can do this when we are able to live in community and to share the load. Not everybody has patience with one particular kind of person. Other people find them very easy to deal with, and that same people who find this person easy to deal with just can't stand this other particular kind of person. I've seen it again and again, and the Lord knows I have my own peccadillos, and it's hard to bear with me. So there you are, there you have it. And so in a sense, we're all called to respond and help each other, because in a community we can find ways to hold each other together. And this bearing of burdens in terms of this moral burden of forgiveness and mercy is translated by Paul also into in a sense, a bearing of financial burden, or bearing the burden of tangible material need. So he says, whenever we have an opportunity, let us work for the good of all, and especially for the family of faith. And so the household of God, in other words. And in a sense that this moral bearing of the failings of others is supposed to be of one piece with bearing up those who find themselves materially unable to kind of walk the way in the world, that find themselves in some sort of physical need and some sort of financial need. And for Paul, it's not like you have kind of spiritual things over here and material things over here. For Paul, following Jesus was a union of both these things. And in both modes of the church's life and pastoral ministry, we're called to be of help to one another, bear one another's burdens. So the biblical vision is, in a sense, in churches' programs, we tend to have something called pastoral care over here and something called outreach over there. Right? And this is where we deal with the emotional struggles of our membership, and this is where we deal with the financial struggles of those who aren't our members. And of course, for Paul, New Testament Christianity challenges us to hold these things together and to see them as one and the same piece. So it's a good challenge to our kind of American way of segmenting our programming and rationalizing parish operations, is we're called to follow God and to bear with one another in all these dimensions of emotional, spiritual, and physical need. A reading from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians. My friends, if anyone is detected in a transgression, you who have received the Spirit should restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. Take care that you yourselves are not tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. For if those who are nothing think they are something, they deceive themselves. All must test their own work. Then that work, rather than their neighbor's work, will become a cause for pride. For all must carry their own loads. Those who are taught the word must share in the good things with their teacher. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for you reap whatever you sow. If you sow to your own flesh, you will reap corruption from the flesh. But if you sow to the Spirit, you will reap eternal life from the Spirit. So let us not grow weary in doing what is right, for we will reap at harvest time if we do not give up. So then, whenever we have an opportunity, let us work for the good of all, and especially for those of the family of faith. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.